there's no technology that is as powerful or has the capability of AI.
It's incredible.
I think just what it's going to do around the world for many different industries is very exciting.
Just look at what ChatGPT is doing.
Hey, my name's Julian Fayad. I'm the founder and CEO of LoanOptions.ai, and I'm here with
Hassan. How you going, everyone? Hassan, head of business operations at Renosell. Excited to sit down with you and chat about businesses.
Looking forward to this one, mate.
Yeah, the business that you've built is inspiring, but I want to really take it back a few years or a few decades just to see where you first started and where you got the entrepreneur bug, because like I said, the business is impressive. If you guys haven't seen it, LoanOptions.ai. Julian, tell us about it. Give me your early years where the entrepreneur bug was.
So not many people know this story, so I'll run through it. My first ever job was actually when I was 14 or 15. It was at Peter Wynn's in Parramatta, and I loved that. I was playing rugby league at the time, and that was just a retail job while I was at school. It had great hours outside of school hours, so it was open late Thursday nights and on weekends and all the rest of it. And I love that because we'd get the players come through all the time.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and I learned a lot about sales and retail and merchandising, just in terms of product positioning and all that kind of stuff. It was actually really insightful. It opened my eyes. What I actually wanted to do up until probably the start of year 12 was to be a police officer, and I was a kid who probably had a little bit of a troubled upbringing, and in school I was a good person, but probably was just a little bit lacked a little bit of direction, and I knew that I wanted to do good things, and becoming a police officer was one way that I thought I could actually do really good things, and eventually I got talked out of that. It was a dangerous job, and the hours would make it hard for you to have a family and all this stuff. And that was something that was really important to me, even at a young age. So the thing that I was always really, really passionate about, and it was almost like a passion project of mine, was looking into and working on and studying emerging technologies. And I was always the resident IT guru in the family, and so I was doing subjects in IT, and I think I was like a certificate 4 whilst I was in high school in IT, and in my HSC I scored 92 in IT. It was one of my highest ranking marks. So I thought
that's a good indicator of what you're going to do.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm going to get into web development and learn coding and website design. I thought that was something that I could really I could leverage my skill set and still enjoy what I'm doing. And so I left and started a web development course, and because of my circumstances, I really I had to have a full-time job as well, to help out my mum and stuff. And I ended up in the automotive sector in a sales position. And I was selling accessories because my second job was super cheap auto whilst I was in school, and that was another retail job. I guess I learned a lot about sales, a lot about the importance of really good processes and procedures, and so that kind of opened my eyes a little bit to the world of like corporate, and they had this really good training, and thankfully I knew a lot about cars. I loved cars growing up.
It always helps.
Yeah, that definitely helped. But I reckon if I didn't know anything, the training was so good that you basically take anyone and teach them everything they need to know about, how to pick the right, whatever it is, or engine oil or oil filters or, eventually I ended up in automotive finance and became like the equivalent of a broker. And I did my time in a business. I worked my way up as a finance manager, then a senior finance manager, a group finance manager. Eventually, I was a state manager and a training manager for the finance company. It was a finance consulting business. and then I helped them launch their brokerage, and that was my first step into, I guess, the inside look at what it would be like running a business. You know, I had at the time 23 direct reports and was involved in more aspects than just the day-to-day, role. I was really heavily involved in the strategy of that business, the direction, onboarding new accounts, and some things happened and we had a difference of opinion, and I ended up getting an opportunity to either start my own business or join this this blank canvas business that had some really good people, some really exciting opportunities. So I didn't start my own business then, but I eventually in this business became a partner. That was so I was a general manager of this business, and I didn't start that way. I was the first employee, so I basically hired and trained every single person in the business that came after me. And again, like anything that I've ever been involved in, I do it with 100% of my being. I don't do anything.
How old were you then? Because that's a lot of responsibility. So if
I was 23 as a general manager in that business.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I spent the next 4 or 5 years scaling that business.
Wow.
Eventually, another company acquired it, or acquired a large majority share in that business. But then COVID hit, and it wasn't their core offering. They acquired the business by proxy. It wasn't a direct acquisition, so they never really loved the business. And that's business, right? It ended up costing me a lot of money and a lot of heartache, because I literally gave my blood, sweat, and tears to that business. Yeah. But it ended in me starting LoanOptions.
And what did that teach you before that? What did being an employee teach you that then gave you the catalyst to start LoanOptions? What did you learn?
I mean, everything, right? Look, I was involved in so much of it. I was involved in business development. I was involved in the day-to-day operations. I was running the sales team. I was involved in accounts, payrolls across recruitment and hiring. I literally did everything in that business. I wore every hat. Wow. And so, I think that those lessons I learned prepared me better to be. I think if I became a business owner at 23 or 22, I think I was before I eventually became the GM. Yeah. As much as at the time I thought I was ready, I think I was better prepared after the whole 4 or 5 years that I spent in that business.
Oh, for sure.
We went through some really great times. We went through some adversity. Yeah. I did a really good job turning around that business when it was going badly for a while. And I learned how to be, really tight with budgets. I learned how to really take care of a sales team to make sure that we keep the core group of people.
Culture is important, especially at that point of the business. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I started LoanOptions against all the reasonable people. I was earning great money at the previous business, and I could have stayed, even though they were going to hibernate the business. I had a 3-year contract that I was 1 year into. I literally could have put my feet up for 2 years and got paid, but that's not me. I wanted to really be involved in and actively pushing the brand and actively, transacting every day and building relationships and nurturing those relationships. I didn't want to cut people loose and say, sorry, we're going to hibernate the business for 3, 6, 12 months and we'll see you on the other side. I couldn't do that. I couldn't bring myself to do that. So I asked for a release from my non-compete, and thankfully it all went smoothly eventually, and started LoanOptions. Now, starting a brand, yourself, like I was taking a big risk, and it was my first time that I would be like the majority shareholder in a business. As much as I saw myself as a business owner in the previous business, I was only a minority shareholder. I was 20% basically, 1/5, and so it was myself and others, and decisions were usually made by committee, and they trusted me a lot to make a lot of decisions, but I never really felt like I had my full stamp on it. It was always input from others and stuff like that watered down sometimes what I wanted to try and do. Yeah. And in LoanOptions, it was great because I did literally everything myself. From coming up with the brand name to creating a logo.
How'd you create the logo?
I think I used one of those.
Fiverr or something? Upwork?
No, I think it was one of those AI tools like Looker.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. You basically tell it what your preferences are and your color schemes and all that kind of stuff, and then it generates logos that it thinks you might like, and you say yes, I like that one. No, I don't like that one, and it keeps refining it for you. So it was pretty cool. And you know, at the time I was working on the technology that is now, you know, what people know Loan Options AI for.
But just on that, so with Loan Options, when you started it, was Loan Options initially in the fintech business, or has your idea of Loan Options changed from when you started it to where it is today? Or was that always the vision was from that day one, and it was my vision for the previous business.
Okay. You know, I built a really great piece of technology that was matching clients. It could do the role of a broker, or you know, improve the role of a broker, and provide transparent options in a much faster way and match the client with the right lender the first time. So I've been working on that for the last 6 years, you know, and my vision for that, for what is now LoanOptions.ai, was my vision for the previous business. It's just no one really had the courage to invest in it.
Was AI big back then? What year are you talking? You're talking about
2017.
Okay.
And AI
was really not that big.
Not that well known. No. I've been studying and devoting my life to AI from very, very early days, back even when I learned a little bit about it in my web development course when I was 18.
Yeah.
I just knew, you know, a lot of people talk about emerging technologies and things like that. None more. I was excited about crypto and blockchain and all that. I was excited. You know, everyone goes through the phase. There's no technology that is as powerful or has the capability of AI.
It's incredible.
I think just what it's going to do around the world for many different industries is very exciting.
Just look at what ChatGPT is doing, version 3, 4.
And why I like
that stuff
is now people are believers. You know?
That's right.
Because you go, you know, like people look at things like iRobot or you know, Terminator, and they freak out and think AI is inherently bad. I don't believe that's the case. I think you know, it's like anything, a tool, a hammer, right? You can use it to build a house, or you can use it to hit someone over the head with it, right? It's the person who's using the tool that will do either good or bad with it. And I think while some people will do bad with it, the vast majority of people will do good with it, and that's what I'm excited about. But yeah, so I was a believer when people used to roll their eyes about what my vision was, and I just kept delivering, and people slowly became more and more believers in what we were doing. To the point where we could put in a client's details and match them, you know, 90% accurately with a lender. That's when I think the lights really started to go off. So when I started LoanOptions.ai, it was full steam ahead with investing in the technology, and thankfully I made a smart strategic decision to do an equity swap with my now business partners who had a software business, and we've been, you know, I had something they wanted, they had something I wanted, and we effectively joined forces because you know, being bootstrapped as a fintech company, it's not a recipe usually for success, right? There's a lot of people that have tried and failed even with investment.
Absolutely.
And but the whole branding exercise, you know, like you just see it's come so far. You know, we had variation 1 of the logo.
That's exactly.
And a lot of people think branding is just a logo and a website, you know, and I think that's the part that I learned later. And you know, I'm very thankful to have been able to work with AIMS and find AIMS as you have. And I guess that's how we connected, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We were very lucky. Kanan and I have known each other for a while, probably since 2012 or something like that. And we always spoke about emerging technologies. We spoke about digital stuff. I was never in a position to ever do anything until we started Renosell. But the funny thing about the logo is this logo that you can see is our second iteration. The first one was, I don't know if we can show it on the edit version, but it was just shocking. I don't even know what we were thinking. Like we had the Renosell, and then the O was like a yellow target. I don't know. If someone asked me to explain it, I wouldn't even know what it is. It was just something we came up with, and we just ran with it. And the marketing material, I don't know if you've ever looked at previous marketing material, but I keep it just for memories, and I look at it and go, I cannot believe we gave this out. Like, it was a great starting point, but you need a starting point, right? And that's the thing. Like,
you
people think about going, I'm going to start a business because they might see everyone doing it and think it's that easy. They go and start a business, and because they're not either passionate about what the cause that they're doing, when the first stressful time happens, they just collapse and they move on to something else, right? Like you said about riding the wave of adversity. There's that, but even like people that are perfectionists sometimes get caught up on, they want the logo to be perfect. It's constantly, I think it's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Like, look at all the other big corporations out there. It may not happen overnight, but through their business continuity, they're going to evolve in marketing and branding. And that's why branding is so, I think it's so important, because it's constantly changing. And the thing about constantly changing is that if your clients can still resonate with your logo, like with your business, then your branding's on point, right? Our logo is simple now. It's just the R with the little house. It's what we do. We get properties ready for the market. So with Aims's help in terms of branding all our marketing material, I think we're close. I wouldn't say perfect because we're still growing.
Yeah,
but
nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah.
And the thing I like most about your branding, because again, just going back to it, branding is so much more than just a logo and a website, right?
Absolutely.
Branding is the messaging. Branding is so many different things.
Yeah.
It's who you are. It's how your values come across. It's how your integrity comes across.
Absolutely.
It's all of the above. And it does make a difference if it looks really pretty, because when things are aesthetically pleasing, people are more likely to trust, or they think, okay, well, these guys are legitimate. It does add a level of credibility.
Absolutely.
But as soon as I go onto your site, I know exactly what you guys do.
Yeah.
And that's branding to me. It's like, how quickly and efficiently can you get across what you do, who you are, and what you do?
Well, just on that point as well, going back to the very early days when we sat together and we're coming up with business names, like, a name's always a big thing, and we're like, what should we call the business? And we had 3 names, and we wanted to make it simple, because like you said, we want someone to go to Renosell and go, they must renovate to sell, or they must renovate selling. Like, those two words must be, and that's what we sort of come up with Renosell. We came up with a couple of other just random ones that weren't going to work. They were like too cryptic, and we're like, especially for a business like ours that people don't know still doesn't exist. We still get people going, I didn't even know that you exist. Thank God that you exist. Because in this current climate, whether it's the interest rates or the economic climate or COVID, people are struggling to get the properties ready for market. They don't want to spend the money. They have to sell. So where we come in is we don't have to pay anything up front. So we come in, we manage the entire process start to finish. They pay nothing till settlement. So the model you think is quite simple, or people think, why hasn't it been created yet? And that gives us that level of belief that what we're doing works, right? So when we came up with the business name, we go, we can't make it cryptic because people already know that it doesn't exist. Let's make it simple. Yeah. And that's where we came up with Renosell. And we thought,
here's the other thing about that I realized when a lot of businesses were try and come up with these fancy names that have nothing really to do, no relevance to what they actually do. Like you see companies call themselves like Purple Elephant and all the, no offense to those people. Sometimes it's digital agencies and things like that have whack names, and I know why they do it, because they have to like show that they're creative and different. But it's so much harder if they can't figure out what you do in the brand name or the logo.
Exactly.
You need a huge budget to do the brand awareness and education piece.
Oh yeah.
It's not inherently obvious that McDonald's sell burgers. If you were from another planet and you arrived and you saw the big M, it's not inherently obvious that McDonald's sell burgers. It's taking them years, decades to build that, and the amount of money they've poured into marketing and branding. That leads you to believe, okay, McDonald's sell burgers. We know that, right? Burger King, right? Pretty obvious what they do. So there's so many different things that you could name your business, but I think like ours is Loan Options. It really doesn't get more simple than that.
Exactly right.
Well, what do you do? Well, we provide loan options. That's what we do.
That's it.
And I think there's something to the simplicity. It's my preference. Like Reno is obviously slang for renovate, and sell is
selling.
Sell.
Yeah,
it's like sell the property. But I love what you guys do. I think it's such a good market. It's ripe. There's not in the construction. I've got 2 brothers in construction, and it's an industry that can be the Wild West, and there are some good people in it, of course. But I think the way that you guys operate, it's super transparent. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, the calculator that you guys have built.
Yeah, we can touch on that tool too.
Yeah.
That's been very helpful, not just us, but the clients as well. But just going back to the construction industry, like my two business partners from the construction industry, and my background's real estate and project management. So we've been best mates since we were 12 years old and went through school together. And, you know, I guess going back to sort of what we wanted to do when we were younger, like they were always going to be builders because their dad was a builder. They loved it, right? And all I wanted to do was play rugby league. That's all I wanted to do. Got this close, really. But no, all I wanted to do was play rugby league. But, so I know what you mean about sort of being fixated on something, and that's all I wanted to do. I wasn't a naughty kid in school, but I just had no desire to be there. Like I was just
I was the same. I wasn't like naughty.
It wasn't. Yeah, exactly. Like got along with the teachers, got along with the students. I was literally like Mr. Congeniality. Like I just got along with everyone, but I just didn't want to be there. So I'd sit outside of class. I just wanted to finish school. I wanted to play rugby league. I never made it. And then after that, I was like, shit. All right, now what do I do? So there was just dabbling in a lot of different employment opportunities. Like I worked for Dalton House when I was very young, and that taught, I still think till today, like one of the best learning curves. Like I was like 17 and working Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday day and Sunday night, like at that age. And I learnt so much from the people there about processes, about customer service, about making sure the customer's happy. I took that onto all the other roles that I moved within my 20s. And I think that's important even now in Renosell, is that when we meet the clients, like I said, about there's transparency, but there's more. We just focus so heavily on customer service. We just want the customer to be happy. And our customers, unfortunately, are going through a very, very tough time. We get customers going through deaths, divorces, and financial difficulties. So when they reach out to us, unfortunately, they're at their lowest. So we need to have a level of empathy, which I think we've got down pat, where, again, not being disrespectful to anyone in the construction industry, but construction is, I want to build the biggest buildings. I want to just build the best, right? Whereas our business is more like very niche. We'll get in, walk you through the process. We'll get the house ready for market. We don't have to overcapitalize. Let us do painting, some landscaping, some electrical work. We'll get you ready for the market so you can sell quick, pocket the money and move on. Right, so that's why I think where we work quite well. So my two partners from the construction industry wanted to leave that wild west. They wanted to go, I don't want to build high rises. I don't want to work for people that don't appreciate our work. And then when I came from real estate, I sort of saw the opportunity that when you meet a client that needs to sell, we'd always suggest to go spend some money on the house. Let us get it ready to present to the market in a good light. But they would never have the time and they never have the money. That's unfortunate. So then there was no other option like us back then. So we just take it to the market, and whatever it gets because I have to sell. And so when my business partners approached me sort of back 2019 and said, hey, let's brainstorm. I think there's an opportunity here. I was working full time, had a very good job. And I just said, you know what, let's do it. Like, then COVID hit, and I thought it was a great catalyst to throw the towel in. Start again. Like, this is it, where everyone's at home, the world stopped. You're not going to get another opportunity like this. I've got two young kids too, and I want to make sure that, I tell them all the time, but I want to make sure that they do what they love. They take a bit of a risk, and they don't sit and be complacent or comfortable, because it's where people go to die, right?
Yeah. So, I'm of this firm belief. It's not a saying that I created. It's a well-known one. But if you're not growing, you're slowly dying. And that's true for business. Yeah. But it's true for personal growth too. Yeah. And so I think you're totally right. My kids are, my daughter's 5 and my son's 3. Yeah. But where possible, I try and make sure my daughter's always taking herself out of her comfort zone. It doesn't matter what it is. It might be maybe a slide that she's scared to go down because it's super big or whatever.
Absolutely.
But I try and explain those concepts to her. It's like, once you do it the first time, you're going to love this. It's going to be really fun for you to do it the second, the third, the 10th time. Yeah. And she gets it now. She listens. She's like, oh, remember that time I was scared, but then I wasn't scared when I tried it. And I was like, yeah, you know.
There's a good saying, actually. I read it not that long ago, and it's like, those that take risks may not live forever, but those that take no risks don't live at all.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's beautiful.
Like, that resonates so well. And I thought to myself, I can't keep telling my sons, like they're 10 and 7. Back then, obviously, it's a couple of years younger, but I can't tell them to follow their dreams and take a risk if I'm not doing it. I was 12 years, like obviously worked different roles, but 12 years with one organisation. And I climbed the commercial echelon and all that type of stuff, but I was never happy. So my mum said to me one day, No matter how much money you make, you're never going to be happy. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, so now, yeah, it's not easy. Business is not easy. And that's another thing.
I think happiness is not tied to money. I
Absolutely
100% agree with that. I think happiness
Absolutely.
is more tied to purpose and fulfillment of the purpose.
Absolutely.
So if you do something you absolutely love, I was having this conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't ever wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, I got to go to work. Never. And I can't imagine being like that. It's like what I do is really, you know, like all in, like I said.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of elements of that, like family and business. Sometimes maybe we should go there because to balance that, like how do you do it? You've got 2 young boys. I'm sure there's heaps of sporting commitments and all the rest of it. And
again, this is just from my point of view. It may not be right for everyone that's starting a business, but I have like these non-negotiables, which is, and again, they may change in a sense that for whatever reason they may change, but I do the drop-offs in the morning on the way into the office, or my site visits, I do the drop-offs. For me, that's a time that's very important. So like I don't schedule any appointments till say 10 o'clock and then everything else is gun-ho. But I want to be there in the morning for when they wake up, help my wife get them ready, and then we take them to school. I drop them to school and then I go to work. For me, that's a non-negotiable, right? Because I find like that's important. My dad came from Lebanon, just worked his ass off and didn't get that opportunity. He set a foundation for us and my brother and sister to go, you know what, I'm giving you the opportunity to probably do it for your kids because I didn't get the chance. So there's that and there's sport. So like played a lot of sport growing up and my kids do now. So I make it a goal to go to the training sessions in the afternoon and to the games on the weekend. So for me, they're the and that's it. I'm a little bit slack in the sense that my wife and I tried date night, but we've just been getting so busy that we miss it. But I want to go back to it. So there's a couple of things in terms of balance is I want to go back to a date night once a week. I think that's so important because we're so busy with the kids and everything else. And like being there to drop my kids to school and being there in the sporting occasions, because there's times where they do things that are pretty cool they play basketball on the basketball court and I look around and I'm there and I'm like, and I feel like it would break my heart if I'm not there and they're like Dad didn't say it, right? So I'm there through it up and down. So for me, that's a non-negotiable and that's how I balance it. I'm not the best at balancing the business side of things in terms of like I'll work late. Yeah. I'll be on the laptop. Like when I go to bed, I'll be on the laptop. I try not to let them see me on the devices too much as well. So if I get home at 4:35 or whatever, I'm present. And by present, I'm trying to be fully focused with them. And then when they're in bed at 8, I'll flip a laptop open and I'll get going. I don't know if that's healthy. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever I'm doing, I'm not saying everyone should do it. But I'm sure you'd be the same because you got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So different stages, but I'm sure you burn the candle on both ends sometimes. Yeah, and definitely feels like sometimes I've got 2 work days, you know. It's when you get home and kind of spend time, have dinner with the family and then move on to the next work day, you know, because that's what happens. You open the laptop, you're sitting in front of the TV or whatever, having a cup of tea with the wife. That's it. Just getting stuff done. And you always say I'll only be an hour. And then never. 3 hours later, far out. 11 o'clock, I probably should go to bed. It's crazy. Tough. It's tough to balance. It's crazy because I think a lot of people, they see the fun side of being a business owner, you know, the flexibility and the ability to make your own decisions and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think, unless you're prepared to make a lot of sacrifices, I don't think it's for you necessarily, because it can be hard. It's challenging for your marriage. It's challenging for your kids, and you do need to try and find a good balance. And I think that having those non-negotiables is a really good way to do it. You know, I think there's so many different things and it's different for every family. The non-negotiables might be taking your kids to school, or it might be taking your kids to gymnastics or rugby league or soccer or whatever it is. Or it might just be when you get home, no devices until they're asleep, you know, and just be present. And it's something I'm guilty of. I haven't perfected this. I don't know anybody who has, but it's a work in progress, you know. And I think when you can acknowledge that, you go, okay, this is something I need to work on as a person, because you know, I think if you've got 3 things that you've got in your 24-hour day that you need to work hard on: your business, your marriage, and being a father. That's how I look at it. You can only really do 2 of those things well.
at the very most. So, if you're going to be very good at your work,
you only got
for that day,
100%. So you're splitting it 33% each. Like, it's
and,
hard to give
and
that
the reality is,
one thing.
if you do 33% on each, you're not doing a very good job on any of them.
Exactly. And one thing that you forgot to mention, which is interesting, because I agree with you wholeheartedly on those three things, but it's yourself.
Yeah.
We honestly forget about ourselves. So when you're in a business, it's like you said, it's your business. It's staying afloat. Then it's like keeping your marriage happy and having those date nights. And then it's being a father and being there for the kids. But out of that, there's been no time for you.
Yeah.
Well, where's your time?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard. That's what I'm back on balance. Like, I'm struggling to find that for me, whether it's wake up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym in the morning. It's too cold.
Yeah.
So there's that. I try to play, Oz tag with my brothers and, once a week. Again, it's too cold. So if it's 8 o'clock game, I'm not playing. But things like that, we need to try to allocate time for ourselves. It's important, I think. And I'm sure you'd agree, like with your business, what would you say some of your non-negotiables are? Like, another thing, actually, sorry, before you go, is that I know not everyone has the ability like us in our businesses where we can do things via Zoom. We can do things, scheduling appointments at 10. My wife, she owned a cafe 2017 to 2023. We sold it literally last year, 22, we sold it. But she didn't get that luxury. So when she ran that business, I was just starting Renosell, but her and her sister ran that business and they had to be there at 6 and they had to leave at 3. So they can't schedule an appointment at 10.
Yeah.
So their non-negotiables were a little bit different. But so I get that everyone's in a different position. So for our business, that works. But if you're running a cafe, I could take my hat off to you, because any restaurant or hospitality, again, going back to the Dalton days, is a tough gig.
Yeah.
You have to be there and serve that customer the quality that they want.
So some of the things that I try and do, and not with 100% success, but is block out my calendars Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. And Monday mornings, my daughter and my son, they go and do gymnastics and sport and swimming and whatever else. So I try and go to do that. And it just depends what's going on in the office, and then I'll try and do that. Friday afternoon, so I can pick up my daughter early from school and maybe go to time zone or bowling or whatever it is, just whatever she wants to do that day. Go watch a movie. She asked me if we could watch Little Mermaid the other day. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I do, and on the weekends, obviously have some time to just devote to them, take them to the park, do whatever, and I do my best to make sure I'm not, taking calls and on the device, and on the laptop the whole time. But it's hard because the phone's buzzing and you're like, what's this? Is it urgent? Is it something that can wait till Monday? Is it, so you got to look at it and decide, like, how much of it am I going to do now, and how much of it leave to Monday? Because what happens is Monday comes and then you've got this big backlog of work, and then you can't leave on time to go and see the kids again.
It's a flow-on effect. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when I flip the laptop open at 8:30 or something, it's okay. Like, my kids are asleep. My wife usually goes to bed a bit early. So I've got some time to myself. And that's why I do it, so I don't get that flow-on effect come Monday. I like the blocking out the calendar. That's something that I learnt back in the corporate world, in my old job, because I'm sure back in the corporate, like, just meetings, and there's no time to do the work. So if you don't block out your calendar to do the work for those meetings, then you'll never get it done. So that's something I definitely brought here too, which is some gold advice, because blocking out your calendar, people might think it might be a dicky move, but it's actually not. It's actually proven to look at the research, but blocking out your calendar or your time is
power
important.
Through work,
it's powerful,
And there's so many good tools that you can use. Like there's one called Motion, another one called Reclaim.ai. It's a calendar tool that integrates with your Google to-do list. And so you put things in your to-do list. Then you set a deadline for it, and it keeps blocking out time in your calendar so that you can get stuff done. Okay. And let's say you book a meeting over the top of it, it recalculates when it needs to be done. And you can tell it if it's a non-negotiable or if it's a high priority or low priority, or so there's a lot of things that automate that stuff for you. And I think I'm using more and more of these small, they're like, I call them like the $10 tools, right? They're $10 or so, and they just make your life $10 a month or whatever. That will just make things easier for you to manage it. So you put stuff, you have action items from a meeting, pop it in your to-do list, put a deadline date. It'll put some time in your calendar to...
Have you heard of Otter AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I use that as well.
I stumbled on that, like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and actually through Ames.
Yeah.
But literally jumps into your team's meetings or your meetings and takes the minutes for you.
Yeah,
so
it's fantastic. Even sometimes the action items are perfect as well.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing.
That's good.
There's so many of these tools that you can use that just give you some of the time back.
Yeah.
And why I like using them is because like I put a lot of value on my time. I really do. It sounds arrogant and cocky, but you know, my time is very important because there, like you said, there's only 100% you can give. And if I can use a tool and pay money for that tool to get some time back, so that I can spend it with my kids or my wife or on the business or whatever it is, spending time with my team, then I'll take that. I'll take any opportunity to do that as long as it's within reason. And so I think it's important as a business owner to put value on your time, calculate what your hourly rate is, and go, okay, what are these things I'm doing? You know, am I taking this meeting? What this guy? You know, he's booking in a meeting with me, but it's really it's pointless. Like, should I be taking it, or should I, you know, spend that time working on my business or working on my family, going and having a coffee with my wife, whatever it is. So I think that's a really important task.
Even like when you mentioned earlier on about wearing different hats, like when we first started Renosell, or even to now to a certain extent, we both, all three of us, wear a couple of different hats.
Yeah.
And if there's these AI tools or these tools that help us lose a hat and let technology automate that, it's a no-brainer. Because especially in the startup phase and, like you said, bootstrapping everything and doing everything on your own, it's just a no-brainer. For us, it's helped so much because it's helped us outsource the little admin tasks that I was doing or Nathan was doing or something, and allows us to focus on our core business or our core responsibilities. Like there's three of us, we share equal responsibility in different aspects of the business, and it works well. So when we start taking an influx of admin stuff that is just not a good use of our time, it's a no-brainer to use those tools. And that's what we've done.
When I started Loan Options, I was the social media manager, I was the broker, I was the website designer, I was the...
That gives me anxiety. I feel the same.
You know, I was everything. I was literally everything. I was... and then slowly over time, you know, you bring good people into the business, make really good hires, and you get to kind of delegate that out. But it's so good to see the development over time. You know, like we went from having, you know, the first logo and then the second version, the first website and the second website, and then finally get to a point where you make a lot of trial and error and you settle on great guys like Ames, and their team has been really pivotal for our business. And I try and tell them every opportunity I get, because I think it's really important not to try and be, keep your cards close to your chest. If someone's been really helpful to you in your business journey, especially when you've made mistakes in the marketing areas before and the branding and the logo and the website, and then they come and fix all of it. And, you know, an area that was a real weakness for us for a long time becomes literally our biggest strength. And so, but yeah, just in terms of bringing the right people in, like, I'd love to get your thoughts, because construction industry is typically known for being hard to find good people. And I've heard some horrible stories, and I think, wow, is this the caliber? Because there seems to be a lack of professionalism. And
well, it's interesting. Yeah, you're spot on. And I think the hardest thing for us is because we're in that niche pre-sale preparation market. Like, again, it doesn't exist. It's either you're a builder or in construction, or you're a real estate agent in real estate. There's the two industries, but we're sort of like in between here in that little niche. And so it was a little bit difficult to find the right person to go out and have that construction and real estate experience, to go meet a client and give them the consultation phase first. So when a builder goes out, it's like, what do you want us to do? You want us to fix that leak? No worries, here's the quote. We wanted to change that because we wanted to be the expert. So when we come out from a real estate point of view first, we're like, these are the areas you should invest in. These are our recommendations from a real estate point of view to help you maximize. And this is how we're going to do it with our team. We're going to fix that. We're going to paint that. We're going to style this. It's that simple. So we give them expert recommendations. From a builder coming in, they're like, what do you want me to do? You want knock down and like, it's very black and white, and we need to be flexible. So then the hardest thing for us to first trying to find that right person was that they need to have the soft skills first. You can have the construction knowledge and the real estate knowledge, but if we send you out to represent the brand, and you sit with someone who's gone through a tough situation, are you going to empathize with them for an hour before you get it? Like, it could be a long-term thing, right? It's like, it doesn't happen overnight. So that was hard for us, but I think we've found the right people right now to go out, represent the brand, represent the expert knowledge that we want to be perceived as, and cater to big industries, like you said. And again, probably wrong word to use, but the term cowboys gets thrown a lot across both industries. Yeah. Because you get the agent going in saying, I want to sell it to the client. Just sell it as it is. We're just going to I want my commission. Sell it as it is. And you get the builder going, no, I think this is a complete knockdown. Like, you know what I mean? So you get people just trying to extort the money. Whereas I think we come in and we're like, chill. This is what we should do. This is why you should do it. And I think that's important.
Do you attribute some of that, like, because you say that you're finding that compromise, right? Or maximizing the value of the property using the least amount of capital is probably the way that it should be explained, is like, what's the best bang for buck for me to maximize the sale of my property? Is a lot of that your industry experience? Is it your network? Is it the technology that you guys have built? Yeah,
it's a combination of a few things, more so the technology. So with RenoCalc that we've launched, we're getting a lot of data from clients using it, looking to maximize their sale price and do a renovation. So we see a lot of painting, a lot of landscaping, and a lot of property styling. They're the three core areas that we see through the RenoCalc data that we receive from our agent network and agent partnerships when they have buyers looking at purchasing a certain property. They want to make sure that those three areas are ticked. It needs to present well. So they're three things that we focus a lot on. We do a lot of electrical work too, a lot of old lights. It's honestly so cost effective. People think that it costs them an arm and a leg, but for a standard 3-bedroom home, we're changing all the internal ceiling lights from the old big oyster lights to either like down lights or some modern LED for like a couple of grand, like $2-3 grand, and it changes the aesthetics. It brightens up the house. Then we paint it.
Yeah, we did it in our house. When we first moved in, we had those standard, like, you know,
the old sort of dome.
The oyster lights or whatever they're called. And when we redid it, changed down light, the house looked so much better
because it lightens it up too. Like it's so much natural light. Sorry, the light that comes through the downlights or the LED is bright. Then complement that with the paint, like a fresh coat of paint, some maybe fresh flooring, and then property styling. The house presents immaculate. But first impressions count too. So that's why as soon as we get there, the front facade, the front, landscaping is so important. Because when the signboard's up and buyers walk past or drive past, if it doesn't look inviting, they just keep driving. Or they think in their head it's a knockdown and they won't give the property the time of day. And I think just going back to like our team and going out to the consultations and having that sort of empathetic delivery, I guess, that's from a personal point of view. Like myself and my partner both have had family members who've passed away, but the executives of the estate engage an agent. The agent says to them, it's a knockdown, sell it as it is. There's rubbish, like they were hoarders, so there's rubbish, there's overgrown yards. And I said to them, like, what? I get it might be a knockdown, but present it in the best possible light. Don't present it in that case. So we've had it from a personal experience where we've had family members be treated that way, and it's not right. Like, it's not the right thing to do for them. So, and we're lucky in the sense that most of the partners that we work with in terms of agents are fantastic. Like, they see our vision. They have the same thoughts. They're happy to wait 3 or 4 weeks, then get the property ready to sell, as opposed to putting it on the market straight away. So that for us is like important. I think that's what sets us apart, because at the moment there isn't really any other organisation doing what we're doing. In a sense, there might be builders that want to do it, or there might be real estate agents project managing the trades, but we really offer that end-to-end service across both industries. And I think just coupled with the personal experiences that we've faced, that's what
allows you to really understand their pain points. I think that's important. I think about this all the time, because a role like what you're discussing requires somebody with a really high amount of emotional intelligence. And it's very similar for a broker, because customers are trusting you with their financial information, you digging deep. If you're almost cold and
robotic and there's no empathy or there's no understanding of their.
Or if it comes across that you're judging them,
Yes.
or any of that, even if it's just a perceived level of being judged, people don't like that. They want to feel like they're speaking to somebody who understands them, who gives them a fair go, and that's like we instill that because when we're going through a hiring process with prospective team members, we talk about our 7 non-negotiable company values, and one of them is no judgment. We deal with people from all walks of life. People want to borrow $1 million or want to borrow $3,000. Like, to us, we don't prioritize one over the other. You don't get different level of service, and probably that goes against standard business common sense. Like,
don't let them waste your time. Go for the high.
Well, I was more talking about, like, if you speak to a lot of businesses, they go, "Oh, well, the $1 million customer, that's a red carpet VIP customer." It's like, no, the $3,000 client is also a red carpet VIP client. So we try and give everybody the same level of service. And people, like, even just in the reviews that come through about our team, a lot of that comes through. So we're doing our best to try and be that to the customers, and when it comes through that way, and we've got more than 500 5-star reviews now, I think we're on the right track with that, and it's because we hire people with high emotional intelligence. It helps them understand context. It helps them understand and be more aware of the clients. It helps them understand context. It also helps them become more aware of the client's needs and wants and what's important to them.
Absolutely.
So, when you're going through this kind of process to try and identify who you want essentially to be the face of your business, that's how I think about team members. Are there some things that you found that have worked or haven't worked?
That's a good question.
Is it a specific set of industry skills or knowledge or network, or is it just them being a good person? And
I was just trying to think, of a calculated answer to give you, but it's honestly just being a good person. It's just being that person that you're willing to be in the room for an hour with, and probably that non-judgment is a really good one that we might even take on board, because that's when we go to them, they're at their worst and they don't want to be judged, and we don't judge, and we just go in there with, the emotional, the EQ of helping them through the situation, as opposed to transacting, and we try to keep them really engaged throughout the way too, because they don't have. Again, they probably wouldn't have the industry knowledge that we've got. That's why they've engaged us. So we don't make them sound feel silly by using too many big words. We just keep it really simple. Good person, keep it simple. And then when we're there, we're there. We're not on our phones. We don't treat them like second class citizens. We present well. We take our shoes off before we walk through the property. Like, we do little things like that where I think they appreciate. They're like, no, leave your shoes on. It's like, don't be silly. We put company policy, shoes off. We walk through. We present it well.
That's great.
Just little things
it's
like that.
It's the little things, isn't it?
It's a little thing that counts. And so when you talk about what works and I guess what doesn't, I think for us, it's just being a good person. Thankfully we haven't had the other option where they're not a good person. We haven't come across that yet.
Good,
But
I think sometimes it's important. Going back to branding, is like your branding can help you attract the right people. A lot of people look at hiring people as a HR function. It's not. It's a branding, a marketing, a sales function, because you can do the best level of filtering.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're publishing your company's values and principles on your site, or putting it in your collateral and stuff like that, someone who doesn't mirror those values is staying well away from your business. Absolutely. As a prospective employee.
Absolutely.
So I think that's another really good thing that branding does. And I'm talking about real branding, I'm not talking about a logo. I'm talking about the messaging, the ethos that comes through.
Especially the way that the person talks about the business too. Like, when you're not around, or when they're at a family barbecue, or when they're just chatting about, I work for Loan Options, or I work for Renosell, or not, that says a lot about the business too. That says a lot about you as a person, you as and your company, if they're talking highly about it when you're not around, I think that's a really good tell that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Because most people stay at companies they hate just because they need the money. Like, they need the money. I have so many family members that'll say, I hate my job, I hate my boss. So what waste of that? I need the money, I have a mortgage. Okay. So I know never to go to that job, that company for a job, but you have, on the flip side, other family members that love their job, love my boss, can't, and then you go, okay, that sounds like a good place to work.
Yeah.
And
it's very obvious.
I mean? So it's so obvious. Yeah. And so, like you said, it's not just a HR function. It's literally they're either growing your business or they're putting a red line through your business when you're not around. So you got to hire right. But another thing with, I guess, people that are doing startups is they don't have the opportunity to hire, but partnering with the right people is important too. Like when we partnered with Ames, 3 of us had this idea and had a little bit of traction, but we wanted to take it to the next level. We sat in the boardroom with Kanan and Janti and Pierre and stuff, and we presented, this is what our business is. They sort of digested it, came back to us in a couple of days with, this is where we think you should go. Like, without these guys, I don't think we would have scaled to where we are today. And so you don't necessarily have to hire internally for the person. It could be partnering with the right.
That's right. Yeah.
Whether it's an agency or whether it's a.
You have to know what your strengths are.
You have to know exactly. That's a big thing. We definitely outsourced our weakness, which was digital marketing and social media. Yeah. Like what you said, we wore the social media hat, and we were shocking at it. Like, we were taking photos and posting it. I don't know if we still got it. If you scroll to the end, like. It's just embarrassing. Yeah. But we were also too busy. We were just too busy to do it, right? Because you focus on a million different things. So engaging them for socials was also another win for us. Like, we just thank God for Shantae.
I get so many comments about our social media. One comment I can show you on my phone in a second. Bloke who's good, I consider a good friend, and been working with him for a long, not with him but alongside him, or in an affiliate capacity. Since I started in the finance industry, so 12 years ago. And he signed in and said, every time I log into LinkedIn, I see you. And I was like, sorry, mate. If my head's getting
actually. That is very true.
The Ames team do such a great job. And look, our journey is a little bit different. You're lucky you knew Kanan and the guys a very long time. Yeah. I stumbled across them accidentally after having so many issues with various agencies and trying to hire internal marketing resources, and that didn't quite work out. I tried everything. Okay. And we actually met accidentally, like I said, through Pierre wanting to ask questions about, a network of mine, and, can you connect me with this person, blah, blah, blah. And then we just said, let's come out. Like, I came to the office, we had a coffee. They were curious about what I did. Yeah. And Pierre had seen me on LinkedIn and stuff. And then I just said, here's what I do. Here's what the business is. Here's what we're launching. Here's what we're doing. And it didn't happen straight away.
Yeah, that's right.
But over time, they started, you want feedback? I was like, yeah, please. I'm trying to fix this because,
absolutely,
we were spending so much money on digital ads and things that just weren't working. And
we're just burning
money. We're literally burning money. And you can't do that when you're a bootstrap startup.
Yes, definitely.
It's all of my life's goals have been put on hold because I'm putting money into the business,
Absolutely.
And so, just from a marketing standpoint, the importance of, I think people fail to understand the importance of digital in business. This is a new era. Yeah. And some businesses get by on old school and referral networks and all that kind of stuff. And we'll get to networking in a bit because I think there's something really important about that people should know about networking.
Absolutely.
But the digital aspect is important because you only have so many hours in a workday, and you need to be able to be always on for a couple of reasons. One is somebody should be able to hop on your website at 11 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning because maybe they work night shift or whatever it is, and find out more information about you. Your website should be such a great resource, and your social media channels should be, glistening with everything about you and the company, the team, because people want to see, that they're dealing with a company that looks after its staff, because companies that look after their staff generally look after their customers too. And I fully believe in that. I think Richard Branson said, in Virgin, he said that if you look after your customers, you'll do well. But if you look after your customers, if you look after your staff, they'll take care of your customers for you.
Isn't that guy inspiring, man? Just off like, he's like next level. I don't know if you've read some of his books or watched them. He's like incredible. What he's built. He played the long game, right? And that's something as well that people think that I'm going to get in business and the first year I'm going to be Richard Brent.
Yeah.
Like it is a 40, 50 year journey that you've just got to be willing to sacrifice. And it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is,
so
it is,
that's
absolutely.
what people fail to understand.
But social media plays an important part. I think when
Definitely.
we see this, let's say, for example, we're looking to hire, right? We put an ad up on LinkedIn and we literally see the journey. We see that the employee or the prospective employee views our profile, the company profile, views my profile, and then applies. And there's something to that. This is the new way that good people don't get found. You know, they find you, really good people. And so I believe that, and it's been our experience that we have, lots of people messaging first, hey, have you got a job? Even if we don't have an ad for whatever it is, a business development manager, we get people saying when there's a role available that is, in line with my skill set, can you let me know? Because good people find a place they want to work.
They want to work,
And I really believe that if you had to go back for whatever reason and kind of start again and become an employee, you would be very choosy about where you ended up. You would almost
so picky.
Would be like, no, I want to work with this person because I know they've got a reputation,
absolutely,
all that stuff. But social media plays a really important part of that. Not just LinkedIn or whatever your channel is that's effective for your industry, but everything. People go in and they do the validation of your business.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like from your point of view and from your business journey, what would your top 3 social media channels or sites? What would they be if I'm starting a new business and I'm bootstrapping it? What 3 sites would you say jump on first?
I think it's different for every business and the demographic that you're chasing. Like, I think if you're aiming for a younger demographic, Instagram and TikTok are very good. Yeah. I think if you're looking for partnerships and your plan is to do a lot of B2B style, LinkedIn's been very effective for us for a number of reasons. Yeah. One of them is making professionals aware of our service, but also building a really big partnership profile and portfolio on LinkedIn. And it's very good for recruitment as well. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. But yeah, I think, if you're selling a product, I think Facebook, Instagram, ads, like social media ads, TikTok, all the rest of it, those platforms are very, very effective if you're looking to sell a product because people can make quick decisions and things like that. I think for service businesses, it's a little bit different. And what I've seen anyway is that there needs to be a bit more of an education process, or there needs to be a very specific search term that's typed in. So things like SEO and SEM, like Google Ads and Bing and all that kind of stuff, are typically better for service-based businesses like ours. You can also look at different affiliate or strategic partnership styles, but when you're bootstrapping a business, you've got to find the fastest path to profitability.
Absolutely.
And so more leads is not necessarily a good thing because it can be quite expensive to serve those leads. What you want is typically, I would say to someone who's starting a brokerage, start with referral partners because it's cheap, it's a low risk. If you don't settle a deal, it doesn't cost you anything to acquire that customer. And if you do, yes, you've got to pay out a referral fee, but it's a cheaper way to just going and pouring 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 a month in Google ads or Facebook ads.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what about for yourself? Like, your industry is obviously a hybrid, right? So you've kind of created your own. So
it's definitely unique. But it's funny, like being bootstrapped, when we started, we literally just got Instagram and Facebook page, and we just put the projects that we've completed. We just pumped them on Instagram just to try to build that credibility. I think to this day we have maybe got one client through Instagram. So I think with Instagram, what I love about it for us is we got one client in like the last 2 years from it. But what it shows is like a mood board of the work that we've done. It shows some testimonials. It shows a real quick snippet of who we are. Yeah. And that's what I love, because it's not uncommon that I'll go to a consultation. I'll say, check our YouTube channel out and check our Instagram out. Because then they look at it and they watch my videos or our videos on YouTube. If it's longer form, but on Instagram, it's like, oh wow, that was before and after. Oh wow,
so it's a great way to show your portfolio.
That's exactly it.
And a lot of people go, oh, but it doesn't give me customers. I don't want to invest in it. But you don't know. I don't think there's a social proof element that social media provides.
Absolutely.
And it's validating for your business. It adds credibility.
Absolutely.
And so, I don't even know if we've had one customer from Instagram.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we track it and it doesn't look like that organically people apply. But I think the benefit we get there is it's a way to connect with our customers.
Absolutely.
It's a way to answer questions if people have them.
That's what we love about it. Yeah.
And the amount of views we get on our social media page versus the amount of followers is much, much higher. So what it tells me is that even though people aren't following, they're checking us out.
They're still looking at it.
They're still looking at it. And that's forming part of their decision to deal with us or not deal with us, either way. I think
our top three for us is YouTube, Instagram and LinkedIn. And for all different reasons, like you said about LinkedIn being great for partnerships, LinkedIn's been perfect for that. It's built our corporate credibility. We've met some good key strategic partners that have helped us. Instagram's great for our portfolio of work, and YouTube's been great for the long form videos and testimonials and stuff like that. So those three, we're on obviously TikTok and Facebook. We're on them all, but I think those three are the three we focus on. We get the most engagement from. And it just builds our credibility. So they're our three that we use. We use TikTok, which is great for, I guess, before and afters and stuff. But again, something that I don't look too heavily on. I focus more on those three in collaboration with Shantae. But they're really Facebook's clever. An interesting one though.
They know exactly who part of their role as your marketing partner is to figure out who your ideal client is. Yeah. And what platforms are they using?
Absolutely.
And I think typically. You would find that probably your demographic is a little bit older, not necessarily all the time, but
absolutely,
the person who's just had a deceased family member and has to sell this property as the executor of the estate or whatever, and needs to invest some money to get it renovated to maximize the value. Probably not necessarily sitting on TikTok all the time.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you can't expose your brand to that younger audience, because at some point they will.
Yeah, they might tell their parents or they might tell whatever it may be. But the good thing about obviously with AIMS as well, every Monday we get the reports, all our analytics and stuff. So I spent some time going through it, and our demographics are 35 to 49, that group, and predominantly I think 60% of them are women. So whether they're the ones that make the decision on the selling the houses or whether they're the ones that are executors, I'm not sure. But they're our two demographics that we that come to our site, and predominantly Instagram, they may be on it because they like the transformations and the portfolio. And again, that demographic probably sits that top 49 maybe on LinkedIn, a bit more corporate styles, right? Like, so they're our demographics, and there are three target. But that's not to say that TikTok and Facebook are not working. They're, again, brand credibility. But I find, I don't know if you're the same, but Facebook, I find just some of the posts that we put up, we put them on obviously all our channels. Instagram, we get oh my God, what a transformation, what a beautiful home. Facebook, we always get some trolls that are like, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that?
It's a more negative platform,
it's such
isn't it?
We're finding it such a negative platform. Yeah. And we can't help but to laugh because I'm just like, there's always, if someone comments, it might be one good comment and three or four why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? So, but Instagram...
I wonder what that is,
I don't know if the algorithm just... I don't know what it is, but Instagram, we get a lot of love, which is nice. So, which is good. And we get a lot of engagement, like you said, about answering questions. The Q&As are really good for us, good engagement. We do some Instagram lives every now and then, which works. Again, I don't know if it's got us one client in the last 2 years, but it's the credibility piece. So I think if you're a young entrepreneur, if you're bootstrapping your startup, like you mentioned definitely about the product or service, but I'd be looking at those type of free. They're free to set up, free to post on there. And then when you start building a bit of traction, you can look at your Google AdWords and your SEO stuff. But that's what works for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we move forward to networking, because I think if you're a young entrepreneur, you're looking to start, what you should be doing, even if you haven't started your business yet, I'm of the belief that you should be building your network before you need it.
Absolutely.
The worst thing that you can do when you're networking is stick your hand out immediately.
That's the biggest
and say,
negative.
give me.
Yeah.
what you want to do is you want to add value first.
Absolutely.
And and do it completely selflessly and without asking for anything in return.
Yeah.
But what happens is it comes back to you in spades when you operate with that
Definitely.
approach.
Definitely.
So, like I did a lot of, before all the robots started doing it, but I was doing a lot of LinkedIn outreach in my previous business. I'd connect with all the relevant professionals like mortgage brokers, and that's who we did a lot of partnerships with, automotive dealerships that we would offer finance services to. And I was doing that for a while, and that's one form of networking, is like digital networking. Yeah. But I've always been actively involved, whether it's the Arab Business Council or Parramatta Chamber of Commerce or CARB, which has been particularly good for me because of all the professional development that I get through that. And now there's going to be, because there hasn't been one, small business social media platform, specifically for small business owners or business owners in general, I should say. And that's through BOA. It's a product of the same team that come out of CARB. And Mark Boris is also involved in that business, but Daniel's doing a great job with CARB, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job. For me, networking is so important. I go to all the industry events that I can possibly make, because for me, like you need to add value. You need to be present. You need to be engaged in the community of people that you're involved with, whether they're competitors or not, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
The amount of friends I've made with effectively competitors and offered advice to them, or they've given me advice, or they've asked questions and I've answered them, or vice versa, I've asked questions. That's really how you network, and you find ways to do business with each other.
Absolutely.
Like there's so many commercial brokers that are highly skilled, but they don't really do consumer lending, and so what happens is they end up sending us the consumer lending because we create a relationship and we find ways to serve them back opportunities as well. Like maybe there's 100%. Something that's like, hey, we don't know how to do this particular asset well. Whatever it might be, we find ways to work with them, and we're adding value to their business. They're adding value to ours, and if nothing else, it's another friendly in the market.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I agree, and I don't know if the word's love, but like I enjoy networking. It's something I've been, but again, I just see it as being a nice person. Like I see it as having a genuine interest in someone and going, hey, like, not what's in it for me. Hey, love what you're doing. Let's connect or let's chat or something. Like I went to, ages ago, I went to, the Entourage. I think Jack Delosa does the Entourage. Yeah. I went to that. They had an entrepreneur's cruise. This would have been, I don't know, a few years ago now, but it was over like 500 people on Sydney Harbour. I went on my own. Okay, I've got to say I hate doing things on my own, but it was getting out of my comfort zone. And so I went on my own. But I went there with an open mind, and I thought, I'm just going to go. And I met so many cool people, like Andrew Morello. Do you remember him? He won a few of those guys. And another big thing is the judgment piece. Like people, I think when they think of networking, they automatically go, what's in it for me? And they go judgment. Like, what am I going to learn from that guy? What do you mean? You don't even know the guy, firstly. But secondly, dig a little bit deeper, be a bit vulnerable yourself and go, tell me your journey. Wow, you went through all that. Then you learn. And that's for me something that even not in a networking event, even in all my previous jobs, like I'll take the time of day to meet someone or to talk to someone. And people say to me, you talk to anyone? I say, yeah, because I'm so genuinely interested in where that guy's been or where that girl's been and what they've done. Because if for nothing, I've learned about that person and I've made a connection. If at some point they reach out for business, great. If they don't, I know that person. I've met that person. Good luck to that person. It's important.
There's so much more that you get out of it than just like new clients or something like that. If you're willing to listen and go in with an open mind.
Absolutely.
The amount I've learned just about everything, whether it's scaling a business or the best way to position your business if you want to seek investment or like things that I may not use now. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Exactly.
But I'm building the tools. Yeah, I'm building the tools. I'm building the skill set. I'm building the knowledge because at some point I may need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And rather than try and cram it all in when I need it, I've got it there at my disposal. And then if someone asks me, hey, do you know anything about raising capital or whatever it is? I'm like, yeah, actually I do. I know this and that. Yeah. Read this book. This is what I learned. This is who you need to speak to. Yeah. Here's who can help you. Here's the lawyer you should engage. Here's that. Because it's knowledge that I can pass on for nothing. And one thing I love more than anything is connecting two good businesses.
Oh, yeah.
So in the networking process, someone tells me a problem, like it's not a problem I can solve, but I know someone who can.
Yeah.
And that's like, let me connect you with a good lawyer. Let me connect you with a good, accountant. Let me connect you with a good, whatever it is, a mortgage broker. Let me connect you with whoever can solve that problem for you.
You know what I love about that is I feel like the immigrants are the best at networking. They know everyone. How many of your Lebanese or Greek people you go, I know that guy. How do you know that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I know him. We got the boat here. Or like the ethnics, the immigrants are the best networking because they just either have big families or they just know everyone.
Yeah.
And I take a leaf out of their book because 9 times out of 10, they genuinely give a shit about someone, right? They care about them.
Well,
and they ask the right questions.
I'm born here, but my parents are Lebanese.
Yeah.
And they came over when they were really young.
Yeah.
But one thing about just not necessarily just Lebanese, but ethnics in general is like we really put a big focus on community.
Yeah, definitely.
And we understand the importance of community, and I think that comes from perhaps coming from very little, where you need to lean on a lot of other people to make it.
It takes a village to raise their kids, right? That's what they say. So
absolutely,
community is important. When they come to a country they don't know anyone or don't know anything, the neighbours or the wider community. And I agree with you. That rubs off on us.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I'll share this story because like you wouldn't pick it now, but the first networking events I used to go to when I was young, like let's say up until 24, 25. After that, I got a lot better. I used to avoid them like the plague. I was so nervous. I was so much anxiety going to them. I'd go there and like I don't drink really, so I'd go there and all these people are like 10 beers deep and all just fluently having conversations with strangers, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that,
Yeah.
And sometimes I would just go to the corner, find somebody that I half knew, and then just stand there. And then if someone else came in, I'd join, and then I could open. Once the conversation was open, I could handle it, but I couldn't just walk up to a stranger and go, "Hey, I'm Julian from Auto Approve or from We Are Loans or whatever the business I was in at the time." I couldn't do that. I really struggled with that, but I knew it was important, so I would go to them.
Yeah.
First I would avoid them, and then I would go to them and like hide in the corner, find someone, and then I would go to them and like, okay, I'm going to say hello. I'm going to meet 3 new people today, and I just built it up in steps. And then I would meet, do networking functions where they kind of force you to meet new people and.
Like what's that? Not Toastmasters. What's that called? Where you there's an organisation. I think it's like a non-for-profit where you go and they force you to don't force you, but you have to communicate with someone, and then what's it called?
Introduce them. Yeah, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of concepts like that called. They call it like basically speed dating, but networking, right? You got 2 minutes, and then you got to tell them what you do and how you can help them or whatever, and then move to the next person. In that sense, some places do networking really well in terms of peeling the big crowds back and focusing on smaller groups that are businesses that maybe have some synergy. Like that's, I think, one of the reasons why Cub's been so successful is like the core groups, the KOR, the core groups, the structure of that format is, 8 to 10 business owners, different businesses, but potential synergies there, talking about problems they have, making themselves vulnerable, going through that process and discussing, but everybody gets a turn to talk and everybody asks questions.
How often do you meet, or how often do you do it?
So there's usually 3 or 4 seasons per year, and each one of them is 3 or 4 sessions.
Okay.
So like once you're in a season, it's basically every 3 weeks.
Okay. That's good. It's enough time to, go there with some. If you've got problems or something that you need, you can sit down and talk to them about it.
And the theme of each session is different.
That's
so
good.
In a season, but I think that format helped me particularly because I still have problems going into an open crowd where I don't know anybody and just introducing them. I still have problems with that.
How do you go public speaking?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
That's good.
I've recently done a lot of public speaking, so I'm fine with that aspect of it. But it's just like a lot of the time people are already talking to somebody.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I feel really rude going and just interrupting, So sometimes it's easier when maybe you just kind of see a little break in the conversation, you go and do it. Yeah. Because, last thing you want to do is maybe they're having a really important conversation.
Yeah,
you're that guy that just walks up, interrupts and
Absolutely.
I don't know. So
It's a fine line.
I like
yeah,
the
it's tough.
format where it's broken into smaller
Yeah.
groups, because then you've got 6 or 8 people that it's easy to introduce yourself and understand. But networking is by far the most important. I think it's I can attribute networking in all forms, whether it's digital networking, asking questions, taking meetings. A lot of times people won't take a meeting because I don't need that service right now or that person right now.
Yeah.
But if you know at some point you will,
right.
take the meeting.
It just builds that connection early on, and then as long as you're open and transparent in that meeting, because I know, because I've literally been through it recently where something came through and I was like, you know what, right now it probably doesn't work, but you know what, I'll just hold it. It's not going to hurt me to have a Zoom for half an hour. I'll meet the guy, have a conversation, and who knows what happens. But I said, let's leave the communication open, and who knows what happens. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the networking piece is really important.
Yeah.
If you're at some point thinking you're going to be owning your own business, start networking now. Like I said, don't network for once you need it. Build your network before you need it, and by then you'll have a reputation for being helpful, for adding value, and being selfless. And then it's much easier to build partnerships when people know, actually, this guy's given so much.
Yeah.
So when you've given so much and you ask, it's the balance or the ratio is very tolerable, very acceptable for most people. Like, wow, he's given 10 and asking for 1.
100%. But even like there might be some people listening that aren't interested in opening a business. They maybe just want to climb the corporate ladder. And that is good advice too, because I know so many people that have that mentality of what's in it for me, and they won't meet people, right, in an organisation. I've seen it firsthand. But whereas when you befriend someone or give them something without anything in return, that guy might be one of the most important guys in the room or in that company within a couple of years, right? Now, remember what's the saying? People don't remember what you say; they remember how you made them feel, right? Yeah. And so I've seen it happen firsthand where that person says no, or what's in it for me, doesn't bother do anything. A couple of years later, the guy is literally ahead of something. Yeah. You've applied for a job and you go, I know what your personality is like. So even in the corporate world or as an employee or as a business owner, just as a human being, just be a nice human being, right? Yeah. Be a good person. Do things out of the goodness of your heart, and it will pay back in spades. That's what I reckon. And that's where networking fits in well, because again, it's not networking. It's just getting to know people, building your Rolodex of the old Rolodex. So I think it's important.
Some people go into networking and the first thing they do is do their pitch and ask, who can connect me with this person.
It kills me.
It's so short-sighted. People get so grossed out by that. Yeah. And you know what? Some people might like to network like that. They want to be straight to the point. But I don't think you can build meaningful relationships like that. I really don't. No meaningful relationship I've ever built has been done overnight. It's been a long, steady, slow burn of adding value or answering questions or being transparent when you need to be transparent. And people appreciate that.
Absolutely. And the interactions I love are the ones where you'll have these conversations just so free flowing, and then at the end of it, it's like, I actually think I can help you. This is what I do. And you're like, what? That's mad. Like I didn't, because on the flip side, it's like, had that person gone, this is what I do, this is what I can help. I'm like, okay, I'll call you. But you have this conversation where you get a bit deep, or you might not have the opportunity at a networking event, but you have the opportunity to know that person's personality. You're talking, they're more listening than they are talking, and you go, I could do business with you. Okay, this is what I do. Oh wow, this is what I do. Perfect. Let's stay in touch. I find that interaction from end to end just so easy. When it feels like it's pitching back and forward, it's just not. I don't think I've ever built a relationship like that. Me personally.
Mate, absolute pleasure sitting down and talking with you, sharing all of your knowledge and expertise. I'm very excited to watch you continue growing Renosell. Thanks, and it's been a pleasure. So.
I appreciate it. Julian, thank you so much for sitting down, mate. It was an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I've seen your business grow from strength to strength, and I hope we can stay doing some business together in the future. But even if we don't, I love your concept. I love the idea. If you're looking at any options for your loans, head to LoanOptions.ai. Julian, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. You're an absolute legend. One of the good guys, mate. Thank you.